Hello and welcome to another episode of Layback with Betfair. My name's Nick Foote, your host today. We've done a little bit of a reshuffle of the order here. Tommy Haylock has taken the seat of Jules Valenson. Our great man here, Reece Goodwin, remains in the seat. But Tommy, welcome along, mates.
Don't know how I feel about this side. You got my bad side on this side of the table, but filling big shoes because Jules,
Zoolander only goes a particular way, you reckon?
That's right. Big shoes to fill. So do you, actually.
That's a good point.
In the host chair, really.
Pressure's on. You
started off all right.
The boss is here, and Reece, welcome along, mate.
Yep,
You've got a busy day today, mate.
Yeah, another one. Yep, off to kite and races after this. Lucky I was late here. I
You
told
made
everyone
sure
to be
we were
early.
all on time.
Yeah.
And you've turned up late.
That's right. As long as you're here, then I know I can walk in and we can get rolling.
We might touch on that in a moment. Hey, before we do get to the lay-bin, we like to touch on last week and how we went. And I tuned in a couple of weeks ago. I wasn't on the show, but I saw all the high fives and the slaps on the back and how good are we, 129% POT and all this sort of gear. How did we go last week, boys?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was a good week.
All right.
Oh, I went okay. Did you go okay, Tom? I can't
Protagonist was nice.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, that was a good find.
None of our lays won. Jacko's lay in secret.
V8 might have been a lay. Was that a lay?
I didn't know if I should bring up my best being in secret with Jacko laying it.
Yeah, in secret, and Jacko laid it, but Jules actually laid V8, so he's been given the sass.
Yeah.
That's
the real reason he's not here.
Yes.
That's right.
Excellent. Well, boys, let's head to the lay-bin, which is the feature segment on this show, let's be honest. And you know what? I'm actually going to kick off the lay-bin segment straight off.
He's aggressive. He wants to get straight in.
Look, I don't get too political on this show. I'd much prefer to talk about your coffee order or Tommy's disdain for the ICC. But it's not usually my modus operandi to be, going this way. But the James McDonald suspension, I think it would be, we wouldn't be a racing show if we didn't address this. Now, the Racing New South Wales Appeals Board, you guys need to form an orderly line and walk yourselves directly into the lay bin. Because if you want James McDonald to ride this weekend, just come out and say that. You don't need to make up this 10% good record, nice guy tax, and then when it doesn't fit your desired outcome, create a 15%, good guy tax. And then when it doesn't quite get down to your 4 meetings and you're round from 4.9 to 4, all right? I don't know about that. Don't treat the jockey room, don't treat the Australian racing public like buffoons. Yeah. Just if you want him to ride in Sydney, let him ride in Sydney. Yeah. And as for the chair of the appeals panel, they've come out and said, this should not be a precedent. Well, actually, that is what a precedent is. You've set that now. So if the same thing occurs to your Tyler Schillers, to your Regan Bayliss, to a Zach Lloyd, I hope they're afforded the same opportunity, boys. Fired up about that.
Good rant. That was good.
I could feel the tension from here. He's very fired up, to be fair.
I'm glad he's in the host chair this week.
Yeah, I'm next to him. You're across from him. You're all right.
Yeah, that's right. There's a bit of Trent Cotchin nice guy tax about that. Trent Cotchin could punch 8 guys in a game and still get off. Anyway,
not with footy involved.
I can't raise that. We don't talk about
We're
that.
just witnesses.
Speaking of AFL, my lay-bin, front page of the Herald Sun. That's in the lay-bin to start with. Bailey Smith hit rock bottom.
Again,
if Bailey Smith knows what rock bottom is, I'm not here. He's a good-looking rooster.
That's the headline.
Yeah, it was something about him hitting rock bottom. Define rock bottom.
He didn't read much of it. He got the first part. He just turned it over.
I'm all for a headline.
It was something like Bailey Smith talks about how he's overcome hitting rock bottom. Now, I'm not putting Bailey Smith, but the editors, he hasn't hit rock bottom. He wouldn't
I'd love to be his rock bottom.
Oh, mate, it's laughable.
We live in a world of clickbait, Tom, let's be honest. So take that for what it is.
But it does disservice or injustice to people that actually are going through tough times.
I
mean, he's an AFL footballer.
Bit of a cop on the chin when you look at that and he's hitting rock bottom.
He earns hundreds of thousands of dollars, plays AFL footy, he's young and lives a great life.
A few wins to follow.
Has the greatest rig in Australia.
Correct. He's up on billboards.
After me.
Dead set head bobs, the photo finish.
Yeah.
Not after what the hairdresser said to me yesterday.
Reece, have you got anything for the
just the traffic, mate, on the way here. As I said, I try to organise this to be a fraction early just because I got races and I was late. I don't know if you'll cop the old traffic excuse, but it wasn't good.
We might need to unpack that a little bit, Tom, because there was 2 days in advance on the WhatsApp group. We have to start at 11. Coming from the guy that's just traditionally 30 minutes late every week. So
I didn't
call
even
and
have
then
time for me
to
caramel
turn up
latte
late.
either.
Yes, that's true. But boys, great addition. Hey, we could sit here and talk Labian all day, but it is an enormous weekend of racing. 5 Group 1s in Sydney. We've got the All-Star Mile at the Valley, and we might kick off at the Valley first and dissect a couple of the feature races there, boys. And let's kick off with the Listed Able Stakes. It's a we've got here In the Boat won this race last year and with a barrier to box job and presents again first up for Lindsay Smith. There looks to be a genuine amount of speed engaged here with Lady of Honour, Dual, Lombardo, Iron War and Imperial Lad, all key speed influences in the race. I should also mention that the track is going to be good, isn't it? And the rail's in a true position. How are you assessing this race, Tommy?
Yeah, I've done a power of form in Jules' absence, so got to step up. Now, rail in the true, 34 degrees, very windy. So they'll have to put a lot of water on this track early to keep this a softish track, because by race 8, race 9, it's going to be rock hard, you would have thought, with that drying weather. So rail in the true, no disadvantage to be up on speed. That's the way I've done it. Inside draws, up on speed, favoured. They might overdo it, which you can see later in the day. Just monitor conditions. I think that's key there. As you said, a huge amount of speed here. Dual will kick up from the inside. In the boat works wide. Iron War drawn wide and can probably follow in the boat across. Then you've got Lady of Honour, Imperial Lad, Lombardo, Maleva might not be too far away as well. So there's a lot of speed. I found this a very, very tricky race to dissect. This is a race that the good horses might need a bit of luck. In the Lady of Honour probably hasn't got the figures of some of these, like in the boats, but maps really well. So there's the horses that probably don't have the figures or aren't as good on paper that map really well, and I found it really hard to dissect. I'll probably, like in Dual, awfully off the weights comparatively. Like this is a horse that's 24 handicap rating, worse than Maleva, and carries the same weight. So
he's probably the map horse, isn't he? Like
he's potentially the map horse.
Camp ride off him.
He either campside off him or kicks up from that inside barrier and holds in the boat out.
Yeah.
But he's awfully off at the handicap. So I've got no idea what to do.
Have you got Iron War in the speed there somewhere?
Yeah, he might follow
machine.
in the boat across.
Yeah. He seems to only know one way, really. I don't think he's ever won not leading.
High pressure race,
control
but
freak.
maps awkwardly. Got the apprentice on board from memory as well. So they might just say, we're going for it and try and cross. But it's such a tough race, and we'll know more about the track by race 6 as well.
Yep. And so you're staying out of it from a back lay perspective, Tommy. Reece, what are you going to do in the race, mate?
Yeah, well, I think In the Boat's cast. So I'm laying here. I just think he's cast. I don't think he's jump outs or anything to rave about.
Didn't like that Colac jump out?
No.
I thought he went all right there.
He went all right. Yeah, key word, all right. Went all right.
Yeah.
It was a forward jump out. He was asked to do a little bit.
From what I've seen from the horse previously, I thought he'd been going better.
Yep.
And yes, map, I'm not sure what's going to happen there. Yeah. And then I'm laying Lady of Honour too, only because I'd fell into her first up last prep, and over 1200 she's a bit vulnerable, as in I think she's a control freak too. I think second up, third up, she got control over 1400, and that was where she's at her best. Here, I don't think she'll find the top. She might get cluttered up from 3. She's an awkward going horse. She can get her head up. I think if she gets in the wrong spot from 3, she's very, very vulnerable too. So I was
just on her.
Yep.
Tongue tie goes on. She jumped out without the blinkers on, travelled well. Just without the blinkers, she might jump okay, but she might not have the speed of the others, so she might actually camp in behind him, as you said, and nose roll on, which might help her going.
Yeah, definitely. Look, it could work out well that there's enough speed that she never has to touch the bridle, but I thought she's probably more likely to be 3 back, with Dual maybe getting the box seat and then her being behind him. So I just thought it was quite awkward. I might look silly in the end. The other one I wanted to give it, it's going to be interesting how the way the track's playing. If they can run on somewhat, Frankie Pino is going well. He is one that's jumped out nicely, I thought.
Oh, blinkers first time?
Interesting, isn't it? First time, first up. He's had 3 jump outs. It's just the track I'm worried about. If they can run on a little bit. He's a bomb fresh too. He's won, what's he won? 2 from 5 first up with the second and third to go along with that. I think him at the price. I just want to see how the track's playing first.
He won first up last campaign. It might have been the Warner Ball, wasn't it?
Well, you look at him and you think,
10?
you look at him and think he's probably just a wet tracker, but his form reads that he's not just a wet tracker. I think he's just all round pretty decent horse.
And a good fresh horse. Yep.
So a Lady of Honour and In the Boat lay for you, and a track watch for Frankie Pino.
I don't mind the laying 2 horses because they both can't win.
Yeah, well,
so Yeah.
It's easy for me to say now, but I'm pretty confident that they both won't win.
Yeah, well,
They'll probably run the Quinella now.
I'm certainly following you in the boat. Just didn't really come up during the spring, and Lob's favourite in a race that takes a completely different shape to last year's edition where he won. So has to find the top, I think, to win, and all his race wins suggest that. Barrier 7, bit of speed engaged underneath as well.
Yeah.
I think it'll be tough, and he'll be a bit soft and vulnerable late. So I'm with you on in the boat. Boys, let's head to race number 7, which is the All-Star Mile, the feature on the card. It's the special conditions race. Weight for age for $5 million in prize money. Now we're back at the Valley for the 5th instalment of the All-Star Mile, and personally I love the concept of this race, the stories and the campaigns that have come out, and the connections that they put together. It's been great, and it's got people talking about our sport. On the flip side, after the promotion number 1, and then we'll level it out. On the flip side, after the top 4 or 5 runners, there's a real sort of Australian tale in Delhi feel about this. Like it really does slip away in terms of ability here, boys. Look, we just spoke before the show off here about the speed with Keats and Gentleman Roy. They're just going to go for it, which, Alligator Blood might just lob in the 1-1 and get that nice position in running there. Nugget showed some speed last start. I don't know where Mr. Brightside gets to, maybe three back on the fence. How do you see it unfolding, Tommy?
Yeah, Gentleman Roy, Keats ensure a really strong tempo. We've spoken to the connections of Keats throughout the week, interviewed Shane Churlio on SEN a couple of weeks ago, and he just said they're going to go hell for leather on Keats, and he said, Alan Andreas, don't even think about taking us on. So really good banter. Obviously the owner of Alligator Blood.
I think that was on my
show. Keats rolls forward. Gentleman Roy puts pressure on. I think Alligator Blood could find the 1-1 here. Nugget won't be far away. Then you've got Sosie Bond pounding out in no man's land out deep. I've got Mr. Brightside settling inside on Thunderstruck, and luck's going to play a huge part in the race. I wanted to be with Mr. Brightside on that run last start. I love the run. He was fantastic late. He ran the fastest 200 metres of that race. He went past I'm Thunderstruck. He's a mile specialist, and
he loves the Valley too.
He loves the Valley, finds a fence, but I'm just really worried that he might have Nugget and Keats falling back in his face here and need breaks at the right time, throw back the fence. So it's really tricky. Alligator Blood's deserved favourite. He could just be a better horse than these, and he's shown time and time again that he's a very good horse. I'm Thunderstruck. I don't know what to make of his last run.
He's getting in the hard to trust basket on Thunderstruck.
I don't want to get rid of him because he gets favours here. He gets high pressure race, which will suit him, and that's his go. And he gets up to a mile. So
the second up, staying at the 1400 was never ideal. We spoke about that here. He was a lay for most of us on the show. So we spoke about that. Third up gets to 1600 now. Bit of pace on. It's a different recipe, isn't it?
Completely different recipe. He might get the better run than Mr. Brightside because Mr. Brightside said it was inside and needed favours. If they're really tight and fan, Mr. Brightside could slip up inside or get breaks if they're wobbling. So luck in running is going to be a huge part. I've got Alligator Blood on top from Mr. Brightside. I'm Thunderstruck in the mix third, and as you said, the race does fall away a bit after those 2 or 3.
I'm just going to say on the promotion thing, do we know how many of them that were voted in the top 10 are actually in this? There's like 3.
No.
4?
Well, Fangirl should be here. That's a disgrace.
I'm Thunderstruck, Alligator Blood, Mr. Brightside,
Keats
and the Inevitable.
So
there's
5 of the... I don't know.
So,
he only got in 20 minutes ago, I reckon. Sosie Bond. They were dead set scraping the bottom of the barrel there.
Got in just on good looks.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Oh, he's got a good forelock on him. We'll put him in the field.
That's why you're getting the gig.
He was dead set after the acceptances, that horse.
He's been a bit mad since being in traffic today. He's
it'll do it to you.
He's had a crack at the promotions.
You're right, though. It's a long tail.
Are you having a bet race?
Yeah, Mr. Brightside, special each way for sure. Map could be tricky. I hope that he's outside Nugget. Nugget's 1, he's 2. I'd love for him just to stay outside Nugget. What do you think, Dag? Is that possible?
It's possible. I think Nugget has a bit more early toe than him.
Was that only because of the last run, and then they said they didn't want to be there?
Potentially.
It's like Kieran and Johnny both didn't want to be. They said after the race that wasn't where they planned to be, so they would probably make sure they get a sit on him. Possibly.
Maybe.
But you've hit the nail on the head. It is going to be luck and running. But he's flying this horse. He's dead set flying. He's So we were saying the draws were no good for him first two. Now he's drawn inside, and we're still a little bit worried about where he's going to be in the run. I also like no knock on Willow whatsoever, but a fresh set of hands. Luke Curry comes across from Hong Kong. We saw it with Zach with Artorias.
You said he was the great man last week, and now you put him in the
See,
lay bin.
I was
Willow?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he's in the bin.
Oh, no. See, I almost looked at this.
Wishing
as
him well, by the way.
No, yeah, correct. He's a terrific
how's the
rider,
clavicle
terrific bloke.
whack?
Well, we're on to another week now.
Yeah.
No, but it's the same with Zach with Artorias. It was just a fresh mind,
Yes.
fresh set of hands.
Yeah.
Not that Willow's ever been doing anything wrong on the horse, but Curry's going to want to come in here and obviously ride at his best. But yeah, like he's third up. He's 2 from 2 track and trip. I think he gets around the valley really good. He's a nimble horse.
JD Hayes' comments were he corners like a greyhound.
There you go.
I
There
just
you
hope that he corners like a greyhound and doesn't have Keats and
Yeah.
Nugget
So are
potentially
you
falling
saying?
in his face.
Are you saying Keats no chance?
Well, the track, funnily enough, he's not as good as these, but funnily enough, the track might suit him and he can run all right.
So he won't be falling back in his face.
I think he will.
Love to talk about Keats all day, boys, but I'm going to back Alligator Blood in this race. I just think outstanding return in the futurity over 1400. Thought he'd be a little vulnerable first up, but won very well. Only takes improvement off that. I am concerned about Mr. Brightside, but he has to go past Alligator Blood, and he's an absolute pit bull. So good luck doing that. I think he's the rightful favourite, and I think he'll win the All-Star Mile. Race 8 is the Group 3 Typhoon Tracy Stakes. It's for the 3-year-old fillies over 1200, and a very competitive race here for the girls. Hellfest won this race last year for Godolphin. Your guys, the Blue Jackets, at a nice price. Now, there's 10 different last start form lines in this race, which makes it a very challenging one to dissect. How did you go about assessing it?
Is it 10? Is that right? It's interesting because a lot of these do tie into each other through previous runs and spring campaigns and stuff like that.
Last start only.
I'm heavily against my Bella May here. I know she's won 5 from 6, but the Snipperucci form lines don't tie through. I actually messaged Terry Layton, the friend of the show, last night and got his opinion on this horse, and he said the form doesn't stack up either over there. The stable don't travel very often. That's got to be a query. Snipperucci came out, was only fairly since that run. Just maps awkwardly too, my Bella May. So
just on that, and I know it's horses for courses, but we've seen over the last couple of weeks Wild Bell travel to Flemington and fail as a favourite, and then Maricino as well last week travel.
I think the only one's Brave Halo.
Yes,
that's done well, and it's obviously goes pretty well. There was one other one. What's the one Chris Parnham was riding? Black and red colours. Sorry, can't remember the name. She's laced up or something. Laced up.
Oh yeah.
Was also a little bit disappointing.
Laced
up heels. Sorry, there you go.
Yeah, so there's been a few. I just think she maps awkwardly too. If it's inside, she maps back and wide, which might be an awful position. As I said, a lot of these do tie in. Like Dance Rouge ran second in the Roses, beat Paris Dior there, who was 4th. Mumbai Jewel ties into all of these as well. She actually beat Dance Rouge, Wee Nessie Lady Laguna in the Thoroughbred Club back in October, and she's a huge price first up. So I want to back 3 horses. Paris Dior, I like what she did first up. She was fantastic, gets around the bend, maps okay. La Dances Rouge, I hope she gets a run. She's the map horse here. She draws 1, she'll be on speed. She set a good tempo last start, stuck on okay. We know the stable get them fitter and peaking later in their preps. This horse is now 3rd up. Perfect barrier, perfect setup for her. I want to have something on her at $14. Mumbai Jewel, stupid price, $40, $46 or whatever she is. As I said, she beat them all in the Thoroughbred Club. And her trial the other day in Sydney was really good. So my Bella May's favourite, producing some good value outside of her, and I'm with 1, 10 and 15 in the Typhoon Tracy.
And laying my Bella May as well.
Laying the 12.
Very busy race for you,
It'll be a good race for me, make or break.
Yeah, it's a day. That's a day for me.
Call me after, just make sure I'm all right.
Welfare check. Reece Goodwin.
Yeah, well, I think he's just about nailed it on the head there. The My Bella May, I haven't put it as a lay, but when you're betting 320 against a horse coming across from WA with some good form lines here, you're going to find some value. I can see why you could have 2 or 3.
Drift.
Yeah, for sure, no doubt about it. And you're getting, if you're betting now, you're getting good value on something else. I'm with 2. I'm with also with Paris Dior. Couldn't have done any more first up. If you put Benedetta in this race, she's probably $3 too. Just found one better there. Going to improve second up. Jamie Modon. And then the other one that's always terribly underrated is Clarity. She's a winner around the track, which I love. She should have beat Fission last start, and then they had a nice quiet jump out. I think she's been aimed towards something like this. I like the McDougall sticks. I reckon he's someone that's always had a bit of time for her as well. And yeah, if you find the winner around the favourite, you're going to get looked after with good value.
Yep, I'm the same. I'm going a value approach here, and I'm with Royal Merchant, who was she was worn down in the final stages last start over 1400 by Shuffle Dancer. That was in the Armanascus, who then went on to run very well last week in the Cooney without a back to follow. So I'm trusting the form out of that race. Royal Merchant here is rock hard fit, back in trip. Harry Coffey will be positive, I think, and use her early speed. Will have to be from barrier 11. It's not the A1 setup I'd usually get involved in, that 1400 back to 1200, but I think just with that fitness on side, put her into the race. I think she can run a race there at an each way price, Royal Merchant. Race number 9 is the Group 2 Alistair Clark Stakes. It's for the 3-year-olds over the time-honoured distance of 2,040 metres there at the Valley. And a few of the key chances, boys, in this race, they come through the Group 1 Australian Guineas. We talk about Amenable, Japanese Emperor, and Bank More, and that race was won by Legato. Now, Patrick Payne's horse here, Dunkel, has won his last 3 races at 2,000 metres or further, and he's the only runner in the field to run at that trip. So how are we assessing that? Are we going to look for runners that are perhaps looking for the 2,000, or are we going to perhaps play with, get involved in Dunkel, who's tried at the trip?
You got an opinion on this race, mate?
Not a huge one, no. You got to respect Dunkel because he's the only horse to perform at the trip, but you know where he's going to be. He's going to be back. He's already needed luck around some big tracks, so he's going to need a lot of luck here. You can't disregard him. Amenable was obviously the eye catcher. I mean, he was strung up in all that trouble, and he still found the line. He was basically running past Bankmore on the line, and they're going to be right near each other in the run, drawn 1 and 2. So, yeah, I didn't want to get too involved. I thought it was an open races. There was too many queries with horses getting up to the trip the first time. The one maybe I just want to mention is Mr. Fabulous. It looks like he's only won a maiden at Benalla, but it was a good win from a long way off them, and the horse he just got had sort of pinched a break on him, and his run before that was around the Valley where he got a long way back, but he made really good ground. So he has had a look around the Valley. Oh, there you go. He is the other horse that's won over 2,000.
I was going to say that.
Yeah,
I was
sorry.
going to pull him up on that.
Yeah.
Trying to get my spot back next week, but that's all right.
So so if you're looking at Dunkel as being a horse that's tried over the trip, Mr. Fabulous has won, and again, you can't not knock Kieran and Dave. They're not going to run him if they don't think he's up to being someone on it, but sort of just a watch and see race for me.
Yeah, as you said, Japanese Emperor, Bankmore, Amenable comes through that Australian Guineas. Now, one for the time and the data guys, if you don't watch the race, you think Bankmore's run a faster final 200 metres than Amenable, but you actually watch the last 50 metres, Amenable's gone straight past him 10 metres after the line. He was the horse finding the line best in that Australian Guineas. I'm looked away from that form a little bit, and I think a horse like Mr. Fabulous can step up. I love what he's done to date. I know it's hard to step up from a maiden at Benalla to a race like this, but has that 24 or 2040 grounding now. Right stable, love the horse. He ran the second fastest final 200 metres in that on the day.
There you go. I hadn't looked into that enough, but I knew it was a good win from where he was.
That's very impressive from a horse. 1,500 up to 2040, second career start. To do that takes a really good horse to do that. So I'm having something. Him is a huge price here. And the other one's CS7 or CR7. Should have won last start if it wasn't for the traffic. Should be undefeated. Benchmark
I hate
60
bad traffic.
Yeah. So does Jordan Scholz, apparently. So this horse could be Mellum's on, good barrier, map's right. Tommy Two-Play, CR7 and Mr. Fabulous at big prices there.
Nice, boys. I'm siding with Amenable. Looks to me just to be the horse that's coming.
He's the one from the Guineas you want to be.
That will appreciate the step up. Like, he did actually run the 4th fastest last 200 of that race after Holy Man's doing a quadruple backflip into his face. So he's actually
impressive.
He's actually finished off really well, and the momentum through the line was excellent. I think draws gate 2 with Ollie on. I think he's a bet, and he's screaming for that distance. That rounds out our card that we're going to focus on there at the Valley. Let's head now to the Mounting Yard preview with Bella Anderson.
Thanks guys, great to be back for another week of layback from the Mounting Yard, and really keen to get involved at this week's card at the Valley, and we're kicking off in race 2 with Morphus Braggy. Keen to have a bet on him at currently 680. I saw him parade last campaign at his 3rd career start, and not only was he the pick of the yard, but he was also a horse to follow from that start. Just loved the style of horse. He's an exceptional moving animal. He really steps out over a lot of ground. He's a kind of a lightly framed horse, so I expect him to be quite easily easy to get fit, having 2 jump outs under his belt. First up, I'm not too concerned, so I'm kind of keen to have a bet there on Morphus Braggy at what looks a really good price. Race 3, I'm having a 2-bet play in this race. I'm very keen on the chances of Summerville, so I'm going to be backing Summerville and laying Queen Air. I think Queen Air is way too short in the market. She's a horse that I saw parade last start and I wasn't a massive fan. She looked under her best. She was quite dull in the coat. She was carrying a fair bit of weight. She was lacking fitness, and she's a horse that just didn't look like her best self on that occasion. She's since had 4 weeks between runs, so fitness is going to be a really big question mark for mine compared to the favourite Summerville, who's deep into her prep. She's looking to make it 3 wins in a row. She's a hard fit Waterhouse Bot Galloper who looked outstanding last start, and I expect her to parade no different on Saturday. So I think Summerville should be really hard to beat, and Queen Air is massive unders for mine. So I'm happy to lay Queen Air at anything below $4, and Summerville I'm backing regardless. We're then going on to race 8, where I'm keen to have a bet on Paris Dior. She's a filly I've always really liked. She's a lovely type of horse. Typical Snowden galloper. She presented first up in a terrific manner. She was really forward fitness-wise, had great strength to her. She had dapple-laced coat. She was just feeling $1 million, and I expect her second up at Saturday at Moonee Valley to be in really good order. So I'm really keen to back Paris Dior at 660. The 2 current favourites in the markets have had about a bit of a gap between runs, which is a really big question mark for mine. My Bella May, 5 weeks between runs, and the second favourite, Parisel's, 4 weeks between runs. So I think Paris Dior, who's hard fit, looks a really good bet at 660.
Thanks for that, Bella. And now what we're going to do is we're going to head to Jackson Oldham again for our segment Take On Me. And Jacko's out for revenge after last week.
Take me on this week. We're at the Valley for All-Star Mile Day, and after the laying debacle that was in secret last week in the Newmarket, I will not be laying one this week. I'm going to try and back Moonee Valley Race 1, number 1 Midwest for the Freedmans, who are absolutely flying at the moment. They're 21 from their last 100 with a positive ROI. This horse, despite not winning in 4 runs this preparation, I think he's going really, really well. He didn't get control in either run at Cranbourne or over in Adelaide, and he's just a complete control freak. He needs to lead. He then went up to Rosehill for 2 runs, led and just got nosed out behind Maramia, which went on to win, and then SP in a much stronger race and beat home Spacewalk, who also won at his next start. He then went up to 94 grade and got pestered the whole way around. I thought his run to stick on to run a place behind Animat was very, very good. He's 2 for 2 at the Valley, 1 over 1,000 and 1 over 955. I think he should get complete control here, and he's $2.05 at the moment with most corporates. I'm going to try and back him at $2.26 on the fair. I'm going to put up 1,000 at $2.26 if anybody's keen to lay. That's Moonee Valley Race 1, number 1 Midwest.
All right, thank you for that, Jackson. Good luck there with Midwest. Absolute speed demon.
He'll need some luck. He's got to make amends from last week.
Yeah, definitely. One of the fastest horses I've seen move from the barriers.
One of the fastest horses in the Midwest.
Yeah, I like it.
I've seen
The
Jacko.
guns are out, Reece.
I've seen Jacko at the races. He must be doing all right because he's looking sharp these days.
Really?
Yes.
What's he?
I don't know whether it's
run
just
us through
for
the kid.
autumn.
Has he got the
He's just
square
looking sharp.
Got the square toes on or something? Does he?
No.
The snake skins?
It's a bit
The white
different to the
ones.
Sandown middle
Geelong
of winter
Cup
get
day.
up. Put it that way.
Yeah.
No, he's looking good at the moment.
Geelong Cup starter. I love it. Boys, let's head to Rosehill Gardens now. 5 Group 1s on the card. Golden Slipper Day. It's the best day in Sydney for racing. Track-wise, Tommy, plus 2 metres, entire circuit, rail, soft during the week, but forecast fine.
Yeah, we saw midweek the track improve dramatically with the hot
Yep.
weather, and it will do so. We'll be on a good track easily. Rail out 2. Shoot start. We saw it with the last race last Saturday. These leaders can, over the shoot, can just get away with murder and not get away with murder, but just suits the on-speed runners. So look for that from the shoot start as well. Look for horses on speed generally on a drying Rosehill track, and can't wait to get stuck into the 5 Group 1s. I'm a bit bullish about a few.
Ooh, look out. Tommy, head of steam coming into the Rosehill card. Well, let's start with race number 4, which is the Group 1 Rosehill Guineas for 3-year-olds over 2,000 metres. Boys, notable winners of this race. Anima obviously last year, Autumn Sun in 2019, and one of my favourite named horses in 2017, Ginger Nuts, for the Tiark. Our team won it in 2017. Love that name. What is going on with this race? So just the 9 acceptances.
What do you mean, mate?
Straight
Well,
up.
just the 9 acceptances for this year's edition. There was only 6 last year. Prior to that, I think it was Moanga might have won it.
You said Animo won it last year.
There's a
So
full
Animo
field.
might have scared a few away.
Yeah, perhaps so, but there's
Too many 3-year-old Group 1s.
yeah. Well,
Low bin.
I was sort of throwing that out there for you guys to jump on. So good stuff, Reece. Boys, I'm pretty keen to get involved in this one. How are you assessing it? Perhaps start with you, Tommy, and then we'll go through our bets.
Yeah, I think we're on the same page. Now, you've got Lindemann, Williamsburg, Much Latte, Manzois coming through that Ranvet Guineas over a mile a fortnight ago. Looks a natural lead-up, but Lindemann was strong on speed, kept fighting late. Nash back on board like that. We know Manzois will get the trip. No issues with that. The Derby winner. He warmed up late. He ran the 3rd fastest final 200 metres of the race last start. He'll be suited here. Elliptical ties in through beating all these horses, as Lindemann did, all the same horses in the Spring Champion over 2,000 metres. Blinkers off, tongue tie on, inside barrier. Interesting setup for Elliptical. I've got Pericles on top, and I think you see it the same race. Just brings different form. Has that grounding off the 1,800 metre run last start. Won well. McDonald on. I think he'll be hard to beat. Not a race I'm too keen to dive in, but I do have Pericles on top. Lindemann second with a couple of gear changes there.
Call me mad, but Northern Barrage, is it the best 100 pop shot you've ever seen? Like, it's in at Melbourne too. It might not even go to Sydney, but if you're making a case for Pericles, you've got to make a case for this horse, doesn't he? At 100 to 1, Pericles. He was back and wide and made good ground late, and then you've got Osbred Rising Sun, who's 20 to 1, who was just about run past, in my opinion. I just thought he was massive over. Steve Lane gets on, inside draw, no speed, so I'm hoping he can be a bit closer than what he has been, but I'm going to have something on for sure if he goes. I don't like him in Melbourne because it's Moonee Valley, but here I don't think McKen's going to take him up there to run 7th or 8th. That's for sure.
I see your point. He was probably the reason why he's such a big price is he was a big price last start as well. So he's coming in with that SP profile of long odds.
Yep.
The benchmark 70 was double figures 2 back, so he hasn't actually got a short SP profile, so it's always going to be long. But yeah, you make a good point.
Yeah, if he was 40 to 1, I probably wouldn't have said nothing.
Should be closer to
hundreds
Osbred for sure.
Hundreds, and you're getting 3rd dividends too. There's 9 in it.
I don't think anyone's going to sit here and pot you for talking
Having a
up
crack.
101.
There'll be someone on social media.
Yeah,
I can't wait to see the tweet.
We'll leave it to the trolls. Can we cut that one up for the reels? No, look, I'm with Pericles, and I think this is just a really, really good bet. So I feel like I've been a little bit I had one roughie in, but I feel like I'm siding with the favourites. Maybe I'm thinking it's a straightforward day, which is usually pretty dangerous. But
sorry guys, I'm just creating a Twitter account.
Very good.
I think Pericles, I think he may very well have arrived as a 3-year-old. Maybe the spring came a little bit too soon for him, and the win last start in the Autumn Classic at Sandown was just absolutely dominant. He sprinted really well off a slow tempo, was able to put them away, and looking at this race and the speed in this race, I don't see the setup being too dissimilar. So I think out to 2,000, it's just more time to get away from him. So I'm really keen to play Pericles. I think a big watch on Manzois as well, heading towards the Australian Derby. I think that could be the horse for that race, but I'll be backing Pericles, boys, in the Rosehill Guineas race number 4.
I know we're trying to punch through this show a little bit, but why is it not race 5? Why have they separated and put a Derby Munro between all the group
I don't
ones?
think we're the ones to ask for that.
Yeah,
Well,
there's...
you probably call RV, wrong people.
Yeah.
By the way, but
Well, I said at the top of the show in the lay bin that politics isn't my modus operandi, so I don't think you're going to get me diving in
At least
for a
it's
odd.
second
It's
time
odd,
in the
though.
show.
At
It
least,
is odd.
At least the name of it's not too long. Are you happy with Sky Racing Rosehill Guineas?
Is it come back to the size of the field
Maybe.
that
Yeah,
I perhaps said at the top of the race,
so
Tom?
does it miss out on a quaddy leg, does it?
maybe.
Yeah.
No, the quaddy leg starts even
Okay,
after
yeah,
that.
interesting.
They've got
Maybe early
48
quaddy, I don't
races.
know.
They've got a 48 race card in Sydney these days, so the quaddy leg
Maybe
starts
J
much later.
Mac had some pull.
Yeah.
Yeah, 4.5 meeting suspension. That's a ride. Boys, race number 6 is the Group 1 Ranvet Stakes. Weight for age, 2,000 metres. You got Mwanga, Gold Trip, Hinged and Dubai Honour all around that same sort of $4 to $5 quote. It's an intriguing race. one that I don't really want to get near in the betting, to be honest. So you guys can fight this one out.
Yeah, look, I don't want to get too involved either. Moonga finds his right race. I think if he's ever going to win one, it's probably going to be this. He gets Nash on, who just gets the best out of the horse, no doubt about it. I think I laid Gold Trip first up and nearly ended up with Eggerby Face. He was very good, but I'm now worried. I had the case that I was worried about him first up off a Melbourne Cup prep, but now I'm worried that if brutally run race, he's run out of his skin, how's he going to be second up? But then also, I usually back the trainers in. So I'm happy that Kieran are taking there, thinking he's going to be right. I'm guessing they thought Sydney because they were going to try and get some sting out of the ground, but it's pretty warm up there, isn't it, Tom? And it's going to be pretty firm. So I'm not sure if that's going to see the best out of him either. But yeah, I don't really want to take him on against a horse like Moonga. And then Montefilia, she was huge first up, but she should have been. They ran along in that. She was entitled to run on. So. And
how do you line up a horse, Tom, like Dubai Honour? So Billy Haggis brings Dubai Honour out and Ryan Moore travels to ride, and they're certainly not heading to Sydney for the bridge climb. So in terms of like how you assess that European form and line it up with some of our weight for age horses here?
Oh, I think they're better than ours. I think they're very good horses. We saw Protagonist last week, and I was very bullish on him. Now, Protagonist had a firm track query on him, and I probably had too much information. I heard William Haggis talk during the week about how they were worried about a firm track, and I was so keen on that horse, and I probably didn't have enough on in the end, but he won well. Dubai Honour, it's okay when they win. Dubai Honour is the top seed of their stable, and they've been open about that. He's a better horse than Protagonist. He's got to be in the mix here. He brings really, really good
440
form.
would say he is.
What's that?
440 would say he's
correct. We've got Moonga, who hasn't won since we were in lockdown. Let's be honest. He's taken up a huge percentage of the market, Moonga, for a horse that doesn't win. Now, I think Gold Trip and Dubai Honour are better horses than Moonga. Bring different form lines. I love that run of Gold Trip last start. He has to be a danger. He rattled home. He actually didn't go faster than average to the 600, surprisingly, because the leader was often gone, but he was a long way off him. His final 800 metres was the fastest of the meeting. His last 200 was the fourth fastest of the meeting. That's superb. Off what a lot of people, we had this chat off air, a lot of people thought he wouldn't have run home that fast, would have been the leaders getting tired, but he's actually...
The second pack did run home quick.
He's actually run home really quick. So that return was fantastic. As he said, it's a slight query, firm track. Second up off a Melbourne Cup prep, but I would rather be against Moonga here, and I'll be on Dubai Honour and Gold Trip and lay Moonga.
I was looking at Hinged as well. I was nearly going to make her a lay, and then I looked into her run last week in the Coolmore Classic.
Snagged back.
Yeah, I'm still not sure what her ideal distance is, but she got way out of her ground in that run. She ran the fastest last 200 of the race in the Coolmore Classic. So
does she lead here?
Well, she's drawn one with J Mac on, and I think... They're definitely positive. Like they have to be positive. So
no speed in the race. Moonga could even lead. So roll forward and settle outside Hinge. There's just no speed. So it's a really tactical race.
So the last time she won a race, it was over 1400 on a heavy 10.
Yeah.
Back in
when
February 2020. Yeah, when they were battling out together. It's obviously very interesting because off that you would say, 1400 was the last win, heavy 10. Now she's...
They don't know what they're doing.
No, but she's been like that, hasn't she? Yeah. I don't think they know, or she knows.
They're just bouncing around between...
But she's running well. She's earning a check. So.
All right, so Tommy, you're laying Moonga. You're backing Dubai Honour and Gold Trip.
Yep, more on Dubai Honour.
I'm just going to stay out.
More on Dubai Honour.
Okay.
We've got Dubai Honour on top.
Reece is staying out. I'm staying out. I've got cold feet on that one too. Race number 7, it's the Group 1 George Ryder Stakes, weight for age 1500 metres. Now, there's 4 last start Group 1 winners and 8 individual Group 1 winners in this field. Is it as black and white as $1.60 for Animo?
I'll let you go first, Tom.
I really hope. Now, this is the pin-up horse here, Animo. I tweeted yesterday that Barry drawn his last 3 campaigns.
Yeah. What were you implying?
It was ridiculous. He's had, even when he missed the start last start, he ended up in a perfect position. He's just had the right runs in transit all the time, and now he comes up with Barry 11. Now, given what we saw from...
Champions make their own luck, Tom.
Correct. Champion jockey, champion horse. Winners win.
Hashtag.
But I hope, we saw with James McDonald during the week and Brenton of Dalla sliding in saying... precedents and all the jockeys having a laugh. I hope they actually.
You reckon they're going to bully J-Mac?
It never happens.
I feel like they've never tried to get it. Like, you feel like
They
the jockeys
don't.
almost let
They're
him
too-
slot in, let him go when he wants
they're
to.
too
There's no
polite.
Do
bumping
you
or anything
reckon
like that.
J-Mac's going to walk into the jockeys' room on Saturday and they're just going to put him in the corner by himself and they're going to take a set against him? And
Probably
bully him?
not, but it's
Okay.
it's very funny.
They all
It is very-
they all thought they were going to ride it, Animo.
Yeah, correct.
They're all lined up. I was
Yeah.
going to ride him. No,
Brenton-
I was.
Brenton of
Dean
Dulles.
Holland booked a Jetstar flight.
He hasn't taken any rides in case he still gets on.
Yeah.
I
okay.
hope Brenton of Dulles just walks on and sits on Animo in the mounting yard or something. But James McDonald draws 11 here, which makes the race really interesting. You look at the map, he could end up outside lead here. Electric Girl rolls forward. J-Mac could roll forward at Animo, but I hope the jockeys just actually have some competitive riding for once. They don't do it enough. I hope Brenton of Dulles sneaks up from barrier 5 and says, no, you're going to work now, just after what happened during the week. I just hope they do something. We'll put Animo out of his comfort zone. I think Animo is clearly on top. Artorius might be the bet, though, at the price, but I'm not getting carried away here.
First time trip. What do you think about that?
It is
It's
first time
ambitious,
trip.
isn't
It is
Second up.
ambitious, but I think he's a better horse now. I think that, as we said last
Yeah,
time,
yeah,
I took
yeah,
him first
yeah.
up. That trip overseas has matured him.
Would you reckon this was always on the radar?
Maybe.
Yeah, it's just an interesting one. I'd love to.
It's
We're
a
never
natural,
going to.
it's a
Never.
natural lead up if they're going to this trip. So
Yeah, I just thought after he's
1300
well,
metre
just-
first up was the perfect.
Yeah, I just thought after they'd taken him overseas and they'd kept him to the shorts there, I just thought that was what they were going with. He was going to be a get back run on sprinter. But I guess now if his manners are better, they might be able to ride him a bit closer up in trip. And if he can still have that finish, he's obviously going to be highly competitive.
Let's not undersell the Zach Purton ride either.
Zach
That
Purton
day.
off's a negative.
It's a
It's
dead
Zara
set
on.
gear
Zara's a
change.
good
Oof,
jockey. No
Cop
disrespect
that.
to
Dear
Zara.
me,
Well,
yeah,
I'm
I've
still-
potted Willow and he potting Zara.
No, Zara's a jet, but Artorius is very
But it's a
hard.
negative.
But it is.
That shows how good Zach is.
I think he's the best in the world. So
Don't the ratings say James is?
I don't care about ratings here. Who are you, Jules?
Yes.
Jules, who lays
Someone had to
V8.
replace him. Someone had to replace him.
I hope there's some competitive riding. If I have a bet, it will be on Artorius. There you go.
Nice.
What price would you have to see if you're going to have a bet? You happy with
Well, he's
160?
750. Oh, Animo.
Yes. Oh, sorry, you said Artorius.
Artorius the
Sorry,
bet.
my bad. My bad.
I'm happy to take 750 Artorius. Yeah.
I'm staying.
Just for spec. It won't be a big bet by any means, but
I'm staying out of the race.
Yep.
I'll just sit and cheer Animo.
Fangirl should be in the All-Star
Mile.
Mile.
Yeah, and she's just a couple of lengths inferior to Animo, isn't she? She just
Yep.
can't get past him. Well, good insight there, boys. We went a little bit rogue in the George Ryder, but I like it. Race number 8 is the Group 1 Golden Slipper. It's for the 2-year-olds. It's the richest 2-year-old race on turf. Map-wise, Tommy, I might get you to talk about this because 2-year-olds can be pretty hard to map just due to the unpredictability of, I guess, the juveniles in themselves. But there's some serious speed outside, isn't there, in Red Resistance and Steel City, who you think just through the barrier draw that they're going to be forced to put themselves in the race, which may suggest we're going to have a pretty hot tempo. Is that the sort of the angle you're looking at it as well?
Yeah, you've got Red Resistance drawn wide leads. Facile, I'm hearing, is in doubt. Is out, is it?
I believe.
It's officially out, not
I
scratched.
don't know if it's officially
Not
out, but
scratched. That changes things. I actually thought the map was better for Steel City if Facile was in, because could follow him across. Now he's got to actually make his own path across, and Red Resistance will follow him. Could lead, exploring up there. So I've got Red Resistance leading, and that gives him a chance of winning. Steel City might end up behind him, or Half Cart and Red Resistance might share the lead. Exploring's got speed. The two map horses clearly learning to fly in Cylinder, and they're probably the two
in the
favourites.
market.
So, yeah, that's the map. Who do you like here, Reece?
I'm staying out, but I can't wait to see the race. It's going to be a beauty. There's so many chances. I mean, we're probably not backing in the Blue Diamond form, but you can't knock Little Bros on what he's doing. I'm a Barber fan. Interesting that they've pushed on because he didn't look at his best and he'd come off the bottle a long way out, and Jamie said he didn't feel comfortable in between horses, but they push on, so I back the camp in there. Don Corleone probably should have arguably gone close in that race too.
Don't remind me.
And then
Steel City should have won. Don't remind
King's
me.
Gambit's trolled like it's an absolute freak. If it can put that together on the racetrack, that'd be good.
is King's Gambit the forgotten horse after
Yeah.
all of this?
Yeah,
Because
Yeah, the trial put
and
him
how
back
much?
on the map a bit.
Yeah, it did, didn't it? How much do you?
The negatives are
How much
on,
can you
though.
read into a trial as well, leading into a
Yeah, correct.
feature 2-year-old
It
race?
depends who trains. Snowden's you got to give it a tick.
Yeah,
right?
they
They're
know
big
how
grand
to
final
set them for
trainers.
these 2-year-old races. But there's just a stack of chances. Like, I was on Lazargo last start, and yes, big in the market, but probably drawn 10's okay, and it's longer than the price than Blanc de Blanc and beat Blanc de Blanc at last start. And Blanc de Blanc's had to have another run to try and scrape into the field. So it's going to be very much, I think, luck and running, because I don't think there's a lot really covering a lot of these. They all tie in generally somewhere. So yeah, I'm just fascinated to see how it unfolds.
Yep.
Agree 100%. Who do you like?
Well, I like Cylinder. I'm on at some juicy futures with Cylinder, so like I don't
luck.
want to get involved at the $4. But if
You
history,
can lay off on Betfair.
well, I can, and
Beauty of Betfair.
I might bring that up in our education session later in the show, perhaps.
You've come
But
prepared.
well, not really. But 7
Worked out well at the time,
yeah,
though.
absolute great
Winged
timing. But look, history suggests 7 winners of the Silver Slipper and 5 winners of the Todman have gone on to win the race. They're the key form lines, and Cylinder's done both. So you've got to like that. Momentum and timing's got a bit to do with it with these guys. So I'll be cheering on Cylinder for sure on race day, and perhaps using the exchange to make it a win regardless.
You should do Green Book. If you like Little Bros, you've got to respect Don Corleone and Steel City, right?
Correct.
And even the third horse there, Arkansas Kid. So you've got to respect all of them. Steel City, winner of that race, is favourite, as we touched on, had no luck. Since come out, won very, very impressively, ran faster time than Shinzo. Shinzo defied the pattern a bit. And you mentioned the lead-ups. Now, the Magic Knight and the Pango Pango haven't been the natural lead-ups, but it's because usually the horses that are good horses have worked their way into the race before
They don't have to
need to
run.
Whereas Steel City had no luck in the Blue Diamond and
To get into the field, had to
come
run.
in.
That's
Now,
a
her
really good
query
call.
is she's meant to run the Magic Millions maiden early January. She's been up for a long time, but the stable know what they're doing. Her win last start was fantastic. I've got Cylinder on top, but I probably won't win if he wins, if that makes sense. If I'm betting here, I'm entertaining Steel City, King's Gambit. They're probably the two. Don Corleone's in the mix as well. Luck and running, as you say, is going to be vitally important. I'll get a winning result out of King's Gambit, Steel City, but there's probably 50 better races to bet into on Saturday.
I feel like learning to fly with the unblemished record. We just haven't really touched on.
I think we're just trying to
I
knock
think
it
so.
over.
I think she's been up for so long. She's been one of mine. I think the
Her
Colts
first
have
her first trial was January 3rd.
Yeah,
she's been
she's been up for a
little
while.
So
bit.
she's similar boat to Steel City.
She is, yeah, and obviously both in really good camps.
Yeah.
I just think the Colts had more upside than her. So I think Cylinder's probably got the edge over learning to fly, and they both map similarly. So she's got to be a chance. She's tough. She's done it from behind. She's done it from the front. She's versatile. She's very good. But yeah, just leaning to Steel City from the fillies, and Cylinder's probably the on-top selection, but I won't win if he wins.
Yep, there you go. Good insight, fellas, into
God bless
that
Cylinder.
race. Yeah, all the best, team. Race number 9 on the card is the Group 1 Galaxy. It's handicap over 1100. This is probably the race I'm looking forward to the most. We've got it's a really good addition. It was taken out last year by Shelby 66 with the voice himself, Robbie Dolan, on board. So it's got speed for days, this race too. You got Zoo Style, will likely lead Eduardo, Uncommon James. We saw the speed that he showed in the Oakley Plate. Shades of Rose, Maria Mia in behind, and I've got Asfura getting. I've got Asfura getting a nice trail in behind.
Now
the
with
speed, actually, from
in
barrier
the Congo
5.
coming out too.
Yep. The Group 1 Oakley Plate form looks pretty strong here, Tommy, and Lofty Strike somewhat franking that with another big run behind in secret last week in the Newmarket.
Yes, it does. So I think Eduardo missed his chance last start. If he was going to win a race, it was last start when you tipped the winner. Well done.
Thanks, Tom.
Remark maps better than last time, meets 7.5 kilos better. You'd think you'd lean towards Remark off the back of that up to 1,100 metres now. But as you said, the Oakley Plate. Now, I'm with Uncommon James and Asfura. I think they're the two map horses. They're both really in really good form and hard to knock. Asfura ties into Uncommon James, obviously meets him better at the weights. Has to be respected. First try Sydney direction for Asfura, whereas Uncommon James has obviously run this way before. With Uncommon James on top, a lot of speed on, as you said. Shades of Rose, the huge X factor now. Strong 4 wins together. Probably all came a bit too quickly, that Everest. I think she got sent to the paddock and had to come out of the paddock once she got a slot, which was a bit bizarre.
Interesting.
And she was only beaten 3 lengths. So Tongue Tie goes on for the first time. I think she's a very good horse. She's trialled well. She's got to be in the mix. So I could entertain Uncommon James as for Shades of Rose in the Galaxy.
Outstanding.
No, I'm not getting too involved. Another great race. Just want to ask you, Remark down to 51.5. Do you give him a chance? Not, he didn't beat Eduardo last start, but you could argue.
He ran well.
Yeah.
He ran well. He needed further. I'd like him more at 1,200 here,
Yeah.
especially in a fast run race. But he does map better. That lightweight will help him. I think
Yeah.
he'll beat Eduardo home.
Yeah.
I just reckon the others might be a bit better than him.
So from a map point of view, do you think Zoo Style, if they go as quick as they did in the Oakley Plate, he's quick enough to cross? And Eduardo's outside him. How do you see? What do you think the map's going to be?
In the Congo, outs changed things a little bit.
Yep.
I only just saw that, but Shades of Rhodes also has speed.
Pretty quick. With 50.
I think Zoo Style can now probably cross.
Yep.
Yeah, and
if they
Eduardo
ride him
can
like the Oakley
half
Plate, which
cut,
is what they've always generally done.
speed
And
horse.
Eduardo, I mean, has he won not leading?
Yeah, I think he's half
Okay.
carded a couple of times
Yeah, right.
outside lead
Yep.
and just been too
Yep.
strong and bullied.
Mm.
I think he beat home when Shelby 66 won this race. He settled outside
Right.
lead. And,
Yep. So he doesn't have to lead.
he
to
doesn't
beat
have
his
to. He's
best.
been a bit more
Is your
versatile.
knock on him just that he's a little bit older now? And I mean, he did get nutted on the line. It wasn't as if he was 4 in front and fell on a hole late. I'm not kicking right up for him, but what are your
He's a
real
chance.
knocks
I just
on
think
him?
this is a high pressure race. He's drawn awkwardly. If they do go hard, like Shades of Rose can kick up, Zoo Style will kick up, in the Congo's out, but there's a few others with speed. I just think he might have to work, and I think I'd rather be with the mark up to 1,100 metres with that 7.5
And then the
kilo
drop
weight
in the
swing.
weight,
I think he missed his chance, and I think Remark's probably not as good as a couple of these Uncommon James on top.
Yep. Boys, I'm with Asfora. I think we spoke about a couple of weeks ago here on Layback, and she was first up in the Oakley Plate. We spoke about how she was $4.50 and how that price just wouldn't last. And she, as predicted, I think jumped at $7.50, went out the gate. She's had that run under a belt now, ran really well, a length behind Uncommon James. And if you'll go head to head Asfora Common James, I think Uncommon James is the better horse. But there's just so much in Asfora's favourite here in terms of she's going second up. With that run under her belt, she gets a little weight swing, 1.5 kilos on Uncommon James. I think she's the map horse. She maps beautifully in behind that strong speed. And yeah, I think she's going to be hard to beat. And at the price as well, you got Uncommon James, half Asfora's price. So I think she's a great bet around that $7.
If you like Uncommon James, it'd be silly if Asfora wins and you're not having something on.
That's right.
Good call.
Yeah.
And that's how I'm playing the Galaxy, and that rounds out our bets at the Rosehill card, fellas, which leads us into a little bit of our back to school segment here, which is dangerous. We've got 3 scholars at the table, boys, and our back to school segment this week is on green booking. Now, one of the key aspects of trading on Betfair's exchange is successfully achieving a green book and locking in a profit, whatever the outcome. And the man himself, the Betfair Baron, Tom Haylock, is going to talk to us about green booking.
Am I?
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I'm no chance, so I hope you are.
I think you've done very well. Obviously, Betfair is an exchange. So the beauty of the exchange is you can actually trade positions on races, on sport. We've seen it in the test match. There was a couple of a screenshot. Golf's a great one at the end of each round. You can actually trade your positions. So basically what that means, back high, lay low, or lay low, back high. And you can actually trade, and it's similar to cash out features on corporate bookmakers and stuff like that. You're cashing out for profit, but there's no reason to do that when you can actually just green book on Betfair. So trade high. If you back cylinder at 50s in a slipper, lay off at $4. When you do,
61.
jump on Betfair, hit the pink button, and
undersold me. What's going on here?
so
I didn't want anyone to ask you for a loan when he wins.
yeah, exactly right. Don't say that too loud. So perfect example. You back it at $61, lay off at $4.50. You're guaranteed profit either way, and that's essentially what a green book is. So the term green book is green profit for all runners or all people, sports people, or teams or whatever it might be. So it's something I'll be doing throughout the AFL season, the premiership market, something like that, just trading throughout the year in these future markets. If you think Geelong are going to lose first round, you can lay them now and back them after round 1 for a little profit, and just keep doing that, chipping away, and hopefully by the end of the season you end up with a green book and you're making profit on all teams. That's essentially what green booking is.
Excellent insight there, Tommy Haylock. Boys, we'll round out the show now with our best bets. So our best backs and our lays for the weekend. Reece, we might kick off with you, mate. You look overly prepared over there.
Yeah, I'm
shuffling
it
through
always
your
gets
phone
it always
quickly.
gets to this point of the
Get nervous.
Mr. Brightside. He's my best bet each way. I think he's an each way special. Even if he does get 3 back in that awkward position, I just think around the valley he's very nimble. If there's a little gap appears,
Keats will take him to the race.
I love he's with Gold Trip. He doesn't like the Keats form.
Yeah. There's going to be
That was that far
there's
between
gonna be
them.
two separate races.
Keats
in
should have
that
been going to the
All-Star Mile.
Ranvet. He would have given him a chance in that. Anyway, no, Mr.
Stress.
Brightside. I think he's been aimed for this. Carry on, good gate. He loves it around the valley, so he's my best bet. And best lay are the 2 earlier, Lady of Honour and In the Boat. I think In the Boat's cast, as I mentioned, and I think Lady of Honour, first up, she's beatable. She's a bit of a control freak, I feel, even with the gear changes. If she's come on and grown up a little bit, she might be okay, but I think she gets in a tricky spot and happy to be against both of those in that race.
So best lays coming there at the Valley in race number 6. Tommy, best backs, best lays?
Yeah, I think there's quite a few favourites, especially at Rosehill, that are too short, and I'm keen to take them on. Now, economics has drifted considerably since opening, but opened $4 or something.
Was that you last week?
Yeah, late at last week, mapped awkwardly, draws wide again here today. There's a really bunch finish behind the winner there, and there's no reason why that horse can't win again. But economics has drawn wide again, really awkward. I didn't like that bunch finishing behind him. I'm with, I'll get to who I'm tipping in that race in a second as well, but I think economics is a stupid price, drifted since opening. Mwanga as well, I think, should probably be third favourite behind Gold Trip, your horse, and the International. So I think he's opened too short. He hasn't won since I was 15. So
Acting 15.
yesterday, last week.
Yeah.
So Mwanga is lay for me. I'm also against Zapateo in the last, and we'll touch on that race in my best bets. But Zapateo went around with 52 kilos and I played started $10. J-Max on. She rises 55 kilos, looks under the odds as favourite, and I'm keen to bet in that race, and that leads me to my best bet. Race 10, number 1, Palazzo. This horse could have been the best $7.50 shot I've ever seen. She's
Sounds like Northern Barrage at 100 to 1.
Clip that up.
She trialled superbly. She's a mare with huge class. She's the best horse in this race by a mile. She maps to get a lovely run. My concern, and people will laugh at this, Hugh Bowman. Last race, whether he's just fallen asleep and thinking about a shower, that's the query.
Because he's already won a couple of Group 1s.
He's won a
ready
couple
to
of Group 1s
snap
and he's
up,
just
going.
not focused
You
anymore.
guys have got the jockeys in your sights.
Well, I feel like I can because I ride horses and ridden
Yeah.
races. Poor old Tommy here.
I'll cop it, don't worry.
he wouldn't know which end was the right end of a
He's been
horse.
down to the Royal Melbourne show. Maybe that's
Been in this little Shetland race they have over the jumps. When he was 15.
I like the fact that Bowman's been overseas and he's actually switched
Yeah.
on. We heard Zach Burton talk on radio a couple of weeks ago about how that's actually switched him on, and he actually said that Bowman probably stuck in a bit of a rut after Winx, and going to Hong Kong's probably switched him on and actually make him a bit more aggressive and sharpen him up. So hopefully that's positive. I think Palazzo Band's a great bet. She's already firmed. Zapateo's already drifted, but
Second a Shade of Roses. That's pretty good form.
she's a really good mare.
And that was when Huey rode her too, so he's got a bit of faith in her.
She draws well. She gets a lovely run. I just hope she gets breaks at the right time. Great bet. $7.50 was a silly price.
I'm getting my phone out already.
Race 3, as I said, I'm keen to take on economics in that whole lead up, and I'm with Supergirl. International trialled the house down the other day. 1200 metre barrier trial, should have a ready stable running through brick walls, Waterhouse bot. Draws well, on speed, loved her trial. She's in great form, and 6 of those come through that aspiration, as I said, and I'm happy to pen that form. The other one's Hell I Am. Now, Dashing Legend rises 2 kilos for his dominant win. A lot of these come through that race, and I'm happy to pen that race. As I said, economics was the lay in that race. I said race 3, economics. Hell I Am trialled enormous, generally does trial well, but just brings different form and convinces he's a smart horse, sprints well, he'll be charging late, and he was $15, stupid price. So race 5, economics was the lay, not race 3, and happy to be with Hell I Am each way. So Supergirl, Hell I Am, Palazzo, my best at Rosehill.
Very good.
Is your best bet and best lay going to take that long?
Very good
I know,
set,
sorry,
Tommy.
I'm
It
bullish. I
was-
said I was bullish.
I went with very good set. Reece, when is it yours going to take that long? Thanks, Tommy.
I know who my favourite is.
My best lay of the weekend is the Valley Race 6, number 2, In the Boat, which we spoke about at length earlier in the show for reasons why. And my best back actually comes at Morphettville this week, race 5, number 1, +4s.
On the Parks.
Yeah, who was a dominant maiden winner last
Gary
start
Lowe
at
goes
Pakenham.
on.
And
He
yeah,
knows
Gary
the
Lowe
horse
goes on
well.
with the claim. Looks really well placed in a Saturday 58. Pattern suits the Parks track, and I think +4s is a really good bet at Morphettville. So that's where I'll be going for my best back, boys. And that rounds out the show. Geez, it's been good fun. I think Tommy's really stood up today over in the form chair, mate.
I don't mind that side of him. I like that side of him.
You get to see it now.
I'm
the
getting the
fans
good
don't.
side.
Yeah, you are. Yeah.
Boys, all the best on the weekend. Enjoy
Kyneton.
where you're off to.
I failed to tip this one 2 weeks ago when it won, so I'm going to just
50s
leave it alone
or
again.
something, wasn't it?
20s? God.
20s. 50s on
Gee
Betfair,
whiz.
though.
Yeah.
Bet responsibly.
Out there in God's country. As always, gamble responsibly. 1-800-858-858. And we'll see you next week on Layback with Betfair.
Gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-858-858.